Welcome to episode 25 of the Chamber Members Podcast. Today's guest will be Bill Yates, owner of Ohio Brake and Lube. Right after a message from our sponsor, we'll get into how Bill got started, his strategy for growing his business, and retaining clients. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, Sean Hetrick, SBS Consulting Systems. We're just so excited again to be the sponsor of this episode. It's just great to hear what's going on with the community, with businesses that are here in the area and how they are growing and how they can provide a service to everyone. At SBS Consulting Systems, we can help you out with your IT needs. So if you have a slow computer, slow internet, a lot of times it's a 1 hour fix. It's something super simple. We can come in and kind of do some updates and tweaks and get it running. So if you have any issues, feel free to give us a call. Sean Hetrick, SBS Consulting Systems.
Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome. I
know that you've been in business 8 years now. Is that
yes,
right?
Sir.
All right.
Yes.
And I'd love to kind of learn how you got started and then work our way to, what you've got going on now.
So what made you want to start your own automotive service center?
I kind of always wanted to do it. I was going through some times where I was having a rough time working for other people, and I decided now it was time to just branch out on my own. Here we are.
Nice. I love it.
So how many years of mechanic experience did you have prior to launching your own?
Before, about a little over 30 years. I've got 40 years in it now, and I've been in business 8 years, so I guess that's 32 years.
Oh, nice. And did you have experience managing other service centers before that?
Not really. I worked as a manager at SARTA. That didn't go over very well. But as far as real management goes, this is it.
But you've worked at a lot of different auto repair places and things of that nature. Yeah.
Yes, I kind of came up through the ranks, got my start at my official start at Monroe Muffler.
Nice.
And that's where I learned the trade the best. And then from there, I went to the dealership world, and then I went to fleet maintenance, where I spent 15 years, and then from there, mom and pop shops, and here we are.
Nice. Seen a little bit of everything then, I guess.
Yes.
I find that those people with experience prior to launching seem to have a better grasp on things sometimes as far as operation goes.
Yeah, they understand that business and how it works.
Yep,
for sure.
Get a lot of that knowledge. So how did you decide on your location when you got started? Is it local to you, or local, or
no? Actually,
space?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I live in Louisville, which is about 15 miles from where my first location was at. But I have a friend of mine that lives around the corner from the first location, and I was visiting my friend while I was, at the same time, I was looking for a garage. Mm-hmm. I drove by and saw for inside, and I rented it.
Nice. And where's that at? The location?
That was at on Tusk, right across the street from Sheets and Perry.
Oh, okay. But
since then, I've moved down the road about a mile and a half. I'm more on Lincoln Way now, in the middle of Perry, right dead smack in the middle.
Nice.
Nice.
So what was the hardest part to open your doors? And what did you have to, what it seems like was the biggest challenge to get the doors open and to get business going the way it is?
Getting all the legal stuff lined up. It seemed like every time I turn around, somebody said I had to have a license for this or I had to buy this. I jokingly said every time I made a phone call, it cost me $50.
Yeah.
I've felt that pain before.
Yeah. I worked for many lawyers before, so I know how that is. Yeah, there's always a bill there somewhere.
So when you started off, was it a one-man show, or did you hire employees right away, or
Nope.
how'd you make that growth?
One-man band. I tried my first 9 months or so. I hired a buddy's son, and that worked out. I couldn't afford to pay him much, so he moved on to better things. He had my blessings. Then I went back to one-man band for about a year or so, and then slowly, I now have a full staff.
Nice.
Is there anything you wish you would have known prior? So if you could go back and tell yourself now something that you've learned over the years?
Absolutely. I would have liked to know more about the business side of auto repair. And a technician and a businessman are two different things. And I didn't realize that.
That makes sense.
So I know there's a lot of work going on in a small business, right? A lot of things that pop up that you don't think about or have to stress out before as an employee. Thinking back 8 years, is you still glad you made the jump? Was it worth it for you? Be able to, be independent and make your own decisions and have that pride in the.
There are days that I just think, why did I do this? But for the most part, most of the days, I'm glad I did. It's fulfilling. Every decision that's made is my decision, wrong or right. And that owns a lot of fulfillment in itself.
Absolutely.
And I don't really have to answer to any boss other than the people who come through the door and say, fix my car, because I work for them,
Right.
at this point. So.
And the wife.
And the wife, yeah. We mustn't forget about my beautiful wife.
So what was the strategy for gaining new customers at the beginning? And has that changed over the years?
Word of mouth. Word of mouth is still the best advertisement, cheapest. We did a lot of Facebook posts and what little stuff I did. And yeah, it's changed. I've gotten into commercials and stuff like that, just deeper advertisement. I now pay a company to focus on my social media because I'm not good at it. I fix broken cars.
Nice.
I get it. There's a lot. You have to have a lot of stuff going on for business. So it's nice to focus on what you're good at and just get some experts in to help you boost your sales. Yeah. So I always like to ask business owners, what do you consider your competitive advantage? Like what draws people into the door or back in the door to your business versus another?
I go above and beyond. I treat every customer as if they're my best friend. And I will openly tell them at that moment, while you're standing in front of me, you are the most important person in the world to me. And I actually feel that way. It's not something I just say because, that's what you're supposed to say. I also treat every car as if I'm paying for it myself. So that kind of gives me I look at it from their eyes. I realize that when I'm asking for repairs, I'm not asking for $20 repairs. I'm hundreds, sometimes thousands.
Yeah. That's how cars go.
Yeah.
What services do you guys offer? Because I know obviously Brake and Lube, but what else do you offer?
Yeah, the name Ohio Brake and Lube is kind of misleading, but I like the way it rolls off my tongue. I'm a full-service garage. I specialize in undercar care. So brake, suspension, exhaust, stuff like that. That's my wheelhouse.
Okay.
But if your check-in light's coming on or you need a timing belt or something like that, I can handle that. That's not a problem.
Nice. Do you have a certain car you hate to work on?
It just depends on what day it is.
There you go. Nice.
So what's the best way for someone to schedule service? Do you do walk-ins? Do you like them booked out in advance? There are certain busy seasons that's like it's 2 weeks out, or how does that work?
I try really hard not to make it more than a week out.
Okay.
I prefer schedule, but we're kind of a hybrid between schedule and walk-ins.
Yeah, emergencies and.
Yeah, you come in, you want an oil change. Well, you might have to sit and wait a few minutes till I can get you in. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, we'll take anybody who comes through the door. And obviously, if you call me, then your chances are a whole lot better.
Right. Are there any promotions you have coming up or are currently going on?
Actually, right now, I went to Speedway and I bought a $100 gift card for Speedway. For every $50 the customer spends, they get an entry into a, what do they call it?
Drawing.
Yeah, drawing.
Yeah.
I can't think. They get an entry into the drawing, and at the end of the month, somebody's going to get that $100 gift card.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
We had a customer yesterday put 85 entries in.
There you go. There you go. Nice. It's better than the lottery.
So what's the number for your guys' shop? And what's the best way to get a hold of you? I'm sure it's phone. It's probably the best way to get a hold of you, right?
Absolutely. The Massillon number is 330-833-2075. Okay. You can also call 330-704-7351.
Cool. Excellent. So I guess last question. Since you're a chamber member, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give or people that have been supportive or helpful to you over the years?
Well, I mentioned somebody I'm paying to do my social media, and they happen to be Drive Social.
Nice.
And if you looked at my social media before they got there and look at it after, you see that I really don't know what I'm doing. So Jen and the team takes care of me very well.
Nice. It helps to have experts in those areas.
Yes,
'cause
yes.
That's an area you have to be in all the time to know what's going on for sure.
Right. And everybody says you got to do it every day. I don't got that time.
But you got stories to tell though, and I'm glad that they're getting that stuff out there for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bill. Appreciate you coming on today and tell us a little bit about your story and your shop. It's great having you on.
Okay. I'd like to add one little
Absolutely.
Go
thing.
for it.
Just, you mispronounced my last name. It is Jens.
Jens.
Yes.
Sorry,
Jens.
Bill.
That's okay. I just don't want somebody to come in here and say, hey, I'm looking for Mr. Yates.
Nice.
But thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no problem. Yeah, this is great. And definitely we got to get some people out there to take advantage of that $100 gift card.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
All right. Don't forget to visit thecantonchamber.org. Keep up to date on all the events they have going on and see how you can get connected. See you next time.
Bye.